Pro guides cannot get enough of the Jizz, eh? What's up, GameLeapers? It's me, the Jizz, and have you wondered what champions are secretly OP in 11.3? Well, it's your lucky day because we're going to reveal 15 champions everyone thinks are straight up trash when they're actually busted. Now, what's great about these champions is that they aren't pick or banned all that much, so if you want to main or one-trick a champ in Season 11, any of the champs on this list fit the bill. Now, to master any of these champions and to escape the pits of Elo Hell, make sure to check out the GameLeap website. We have challenger courses, guides, videos that thousands of your fellow summoners have exclusive access to, so join the family of Jizz today. Links as always in the description and comment section. Alright, let's get into it, and starting off the countdown is a champion you have to start playing in the mid lane because he is low-key broken. No more jungle VIEGO, it's time to unleash the Ruined King in the mid lane. Listen to this, across all elos, VIEGO's win rate is highest as a mid laner, and in particular in high elo, if you play VIEGO mid, you have a 5% better chance of winning that game than playing him in the jungle. Now why is this? Well, your early game as jungle VIEGO is underwhelming. Your clear speed is slow compared to junglers like Udyr and Hecarim, and you are exploitable. You will be low, and if the enemy jungler is smart, they can easily pressure you. Now sometimes, well most of the time, this pressure doesn't exist until high reloads, which is why VIEGO's jungle win rate in silver and gold etc. is still respectable, but it's simply not the optimal way to play him. Now as a mid laner, you are in the shortest and safest lane, and as a champion with short range attacks and abilities and only a few escapes, this is ideal. You also have sustain, poke into melee champions, a stun which can set up kills and ganks, and your passive which is amazing in early game skirmishes. Now if you're wondering about what to build, well you have to start with Blade of the Ruined King because that is your weapon after all, then Kraken Slayer, then Steric's Gauge. This build is nuts because the on-hit and passives from these items are super easy to proc because of your Q's passive. So when you attack a target that has been hit by your Q, you strike twice, and both these attacks count as a stack. So a simple auto Q auto combo with Kraken Slayer, you proc its true damage. You don't believe the Jizz? Talk to the 82% win rate and master and above. Now right ahead of VIEGO is a mage who you need to stop playing as a mage. Even though it might be fun nuking the enemy AD carry once every 5 games, AP GRAGAS isn't the best version of the rabble rouser. Instead, tank GRAGAS. Now we're talking. You see, tank GRAGAS, guys, has been played a ton recently in pro play, and yes, solo queue is not the same, but it tells us something, and higher levels of play is actually useful if you can play him as a tank top laner. Now the reason for this sudden shift dates back to patch 10.25, in which Riot buffed your healing in your passive and lowered your W's cooldown, so your sustain is now off the charts. Let's not forget as well that GRAGAS in teamfights is out of this world because you have the body slam flash combo and an ultimate that can catch out enemy squishies and protect your own. Now for your build, you can choose either Sunfire Aegis or Turbo Chem Tank depending on what you need. So if you're against a bruiser and need power in your 1v1, opt for Sunfire. If you're against a tank and need utility, get the Chem Tank. Now up next at number 13 is a champion who has close to a 58% win rate in high elo, and no one really talks about him unless you watch Rad IRL. That's right, Twitch is low-key busted. Now I reckon most of you, the first image you have of Twitch is the one you had recently, who was 0-5 at 10 minutes, but if you cannot feed the early game, there's one build that turns you into one of the ultimate 1v9s in League. And no, it doesn't involve Kraken Slayer or Gale Force, it's the AP build, and here's what's crazy. You don't even need a mythic item, so buy Nash's Tooth as your first, followed by Rabadon's Death Cap, and then Zhonya's. So you don't need to spend 3,400 gold like every other AD carry off the rip, meaning you're a force much earlier in the game, and the damage you deal with one Contaminate is absurd. Just remember to play patiently and wait for that opportune moment to spread the plague. Now a champion you might think is plagued who legit isn't, she's broken if you can play her, and that's QIYANA, our 12th pick. But geez, QIYANA has a 45% win rate, eh? She's got a 52% in high elo, because players know how to play the champion and build the right items on her. Now to those of you in lower elos playing QIYANA, stop losing health before level 3 and let your opponent make the mistakes. You are great at punishing and can snowball as well as anyone, just don't think you have to win the lane by 5 minutes. Also, stop building mobility boots. Lucidity boots are the talk of the Rift, and what you can also do is buy a tier after your first base and build this into a Manamune when stacked. This lets you start with a longsword and the shock damage gives you more burst in a combo. You will one-shot everyone. So this next champion on our countdown is one who will help you one-shot everyone, and it's the most popular broken champion on this list. Now guys, it's about time RELL got some love because she is one of the best supports you can play, even if you don't have Mastery 7 on her. You see, the bot lane meta at the moment is all about 100 to 0ing your opponents faster than they 100 to 0 you, because champions like Kai'Sa, Jhin, and Miss Fortune are all about that, meaning supports who can set up those alley-oops are more valuable. This is where RELL comes in. Your Crashdown, your Magnet Storm, your stun via your attract and repel. Like if you hit any enemy champion with your W, they die because of the amount of CC you have. You're also one of the best peelers in the game too because of your ultimate, so if your teammate is in trouble, just tap R and drag them away from a victory. The enemy, that is. Alright, we're into the top 10 low-key busted champions, and if you haven't already, to stay up to date with Season 11 Jizz content, hit that subscribe button and turn on all noties. Right now, number 10 is a mid laner who Riot made because one of them saw War of the Worlds, and you can play them as a support too, I guess, who is carving up the Rift at the moment. Now, VEL'KOZ, guys, is flying under the radar this patch and season as one of the premier ranged mages in the game, simply because you synergize so well with all the new items and changes. Now, for mages, mobility is your big weakness, right? While Luden's Tempest gives you the mobility you need this season from its passive, and the 11-3 Horizon focus buffs are huge for the cause. The extra AP gets stacked into your abilities, especially your Q and ultimate, and you can proc its passive damage on all of your abilities, or if you just land your E. 58% win rate and high elo, by the way. Okay, we're going to stay in the mid lane, guys, with this next champion, and it's definitely one you should pick up because 11-4 Twisted Fate will be even better than he is right now. You see, TF struggles in lower elo. A 47% win rate is certainly not something to be proud of, just like my head, but he is one of the most fragile champions in League, and the concept of spacing doesn't exist in Silver and below, so deaths are way more commonplace. But in the hands of a card master, see what I did? TF is one of the best solo carry champions. Stop queuing minions in the early laning phase, start rotating through your cards to exert pressure, and use your ultimate in the lanes that matter. And you're now a TF expert. How easy was that? Now, of course, it's not that simple, but next patch, I'm going to give you a heads up so you can send it as soon as the patch drops. Rocket Belt, Lichbane, Cosmic Drive. PayPal me later. Alright, let's mix it up for number 8 on the countdown, guys, and head into the jungle, and this champion is one of the most consistent picks and really underrated. Now, SEJUANI has been hit by the multiple Sunfire Aegis nerfs in recent months, but remains as one of the premier tank junglers. Remember what I said about RELL, she provides some of the best setup, well the same goes for SEJUANI. If you have a Darius, Camille, Wukong, any of these bruiser top laners, and a Zed, Yasuo, Yone, Katarina, any of these high kill, high depth mid laners, SEJUANI gives your team the backbone and CC it desperately needs. Now, don't get me wrong, your clear is nowhere near that of an Udyr or Hecarim, but your engage and CC make up for it. On top of that, you're one of the few junglers who can play a game from behind because you don't need all the resources in the world to be useful. So if you want a forgiving, team-oriented jungler, SEJUANI is still one of the best choices. Now we're going to head back to the mid lane for number 7 on our countdown, guys, and like many on this list, is nowhere near the best in bronze and silver, but the better you are at her, you win close to 55% of your games. Now, Cassiopeia hasn't been talked about nearly enough this season. Yes, you may be squishier and easy to kill because Seras no longer gives you a big-ass shield and Rod of Ages got binned, but your damage and pressure is as high as it's ever been. With Liandry's Anguish, your DPS is higher than any other mage if you hit your Qs, and in 11-4, Cosmic Drive will make you turbo-fed. The permanent movement speed you will get as well as the ability haste will be bonkers. Now, speaking of bonkers, another mage who is hella underrated at the moment and should be played a ton more is AHRI. Now, like Cassio, she is going to benefit as much as anyone from the Cosmic Drive buffs coming in just a few days' time. The movement speed makes you even more slippery and synergizes great with your Q, and the haste allows you to throw out multiple charms during teamfights, which is one of the 2 ways in which you can play her. You can go all out spellcasting with a Liandry's Anguish and Cosmic Drive, or if you're uber fed, you can opt for Luden's and then Horizon Focus. Now, don't worry about the 700 range proc on Horizon, you get it because after you charm someone, your Q, W, and R deal 10% more damage. So it's a bit like Deathfire Grass back in the day. Great blind pick and lots of carry potential with AHRI. Okay, we're now at the top 5, guys, and we have big champions to reveal, but before we do, one last friendly reminder to head on over to our website when I stop talking, because you are guaranteed to improve and hard carry and win and climb. Join thousands of your fellow summoners and get amongst it. Links down below. Alright, kicking off the top 5 is a champion who Riot buffed in 11-3, and this has seen his win rate go up 3%. But the thing is, he's still not played that much because people think he's trash. Guys, Singed is now legit, and because of that, fun again. The extra 10% AP ratio in your Q means that your scaling with AP items is good, and you no longer have to play Chem Tank Singed. You can try Rocket Belt Singed, you can try Riftmaker Singed, the options have now opened up. Now you might ask about the Cosmic Drive buff in 11-4 and how good it is for Singed. Well, ability haste isn't a crucial stat, so it isn't that great, but the extra AP and Morellos will certainly come in handy, and the fact that bruisers are generally weaker means top lane is much more of a breeze. Create a poison trail for the rest of this patch, guys, and in 11-4. Now, this next champion has a 46% win rate in bronze and above, 46. So how is she broken? Well, I said bronze for a reason, guys, because in Master Plus, that win rate is over 52% when played at a high level. Now, Zoe is still one of the best carry mid laners on the Rift. Like VEL'KOZ and like AHRI, your power spike and burst damage with Luden's Tempest is insane. Like put a champion to sleep, they're dead level of insane. And the buffs to Horizon Focus make it an even better second item. Even if you do tend to go full melee mode, not to worry because the passive will still proc on that champion you put to sleep. Now assassins are still scary to play against, so be careful of throwing out your E like it's your Q because that's when you are most vulnerable. Just shove waves and get to that loot and spike. Alright, we're heading back into the jungle for the third low-key broken champion in 11-3 guys, and if you want an early game, one-shot fast clearing jungler, then you've got to pick REKSA. She's picked in barely 2 out of 100 games in low elo despite being one of the best picks in higher levels of play. I mean, in Diamond and above, her win rate is close to 54%. Like, don't you want to put a stop to all those Yasuos, all those Zeds, those Kha'Zixes, those Akalis, those Katarinas in your elo? REKSA is the ultimate counter to them, because as soon as they jump in, you knock them up, interrupt whatever fancy combo they were going for, and they go splat. She's giga fun too with Prowler's Claw, so put the time in and start winning. Now, to those of you who keep playing Rumble as a top laner, stop! You are ruining his overall win rate. Guys, 2 words. Rumble mid. Do you want to win 54% of your games instead of 45? The thing is that Rumble just sucks in the top lane. You are one of the most killable champions in the game, a bit like VIEGO, so playing in a shorter and safer lane is ideal. The great thing is that you will always have lane priority, so you can exert your early and mid game pressure with endless roams and dominate the map like few other champions can. The problem is that most players still think Rumble is a viable top laner. Guys, get your heads out of there and get into the mid lane. In terms of your build, Night Harvester and Zhonya's and the new Morellos as well will help next patch. Okay, we have arrived at the champion almost everyone thinks is trash but is actually OP if played correctly. Now it's an AD carry whose best mythic item is actually an assassin mythic, and when you pair this with a Muramana, well, let's just say that you are as oppressive as they come. Guys, if you want a half health squishes with 1Q, Duskblade Dark Harvest SIVIR is the champion to do it on. Now the 11-1 change to Duskblade that increase its AD is great for your Boomerang Blade and Ricochet, and the Muramana shock damage procs on your Q and W. Now Duskblade's mythic passive comes in handy too, because this gives you the ability haste you need to throw out multiple boomerangs during late game teamfights. So if you like sniping champions with abilities, which is super satisfying, and seeing them run away after you take away 50% of their health with 1Q, SIVIR is that champion and low-key busted. Now if you've tried any of these champions and builds out already, first of all let me know in the comments, and second, respect from the jizz. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Please let us know you enjoyed the video by bruising that like button. This has been Coach Eggs, and until tomorrow's video, peace.